listening to Your Secret is Safe with Me, non-judgmental talk about infidelity with Dr. Marie Murphy. If you're looking for new perspectives on complicated relationship issues, you've come to the right place.
Days go by, they're crawling by.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Marie Murphy. I'm a relationship coach, and I specialize in helping people who are cheating on their partners or having affairs or engaging in anything they think counts as infidelity to deal with their feelings, clarify what they want, and make decisions about what they're going to do. I offer shame-free, blame-free, non-judgmental relationship coaching via Zoom, so we can work together no matter where you're located. If you would like my help sorting through your infidelity situation, you can schedule an introductory coaching session with me through my website, mariemurphyphd.com. I look forward to speaking with you. Okay, today we're going to talk about dealing with other people's feelings. And this is a topic we've touched on before on this podcast, and it's certainly a topic we will talk about again in the future. But I want to start off by telling you how you know if you're struggling to deal with other people's feelings. If you're saying things like, I can't get divorced because it will devastate my spouse, or I want to tell my affair partner that it's over, but I can't because they'll be furious, or I really want to ask my spouse for an open marriage, but I know they'll freak out, or my partner is really hurt by what I did, and now I have to make them feel better. Or even, I can't relax if I know my partner is in a bad mood. These are just a few examples, but if you've been saying things along those lines, you may be buying into the idea that other people's feelings are your responsibility to take care of, or your problem to solve, or your job to fix or to manage. And here's the thing. Many of us consciously believe that other people's feelings are totally our responsibility. And a lot of us unconsciously believe this. And why wouldn't we? There are so many messages out there from so many different sources that indirectly suggest or directly state that we have the power to cause other people to feel certain things by virtue of whatever we do or say, or whatever we do or don't do or don't say, and that other people have that same power over us. And we tend to believe that this is especially true of and in romantic relationships. The idea that if our partner does certain things, we'll feel good, and if they do other things, we'll feel bad is super prevalent. And of course, if we believe this, then the reverse is also true. If we do certain things, then our partner will certainly feel good. And if we do other things, our partner will certainly feel bad, or at least will likely feel bad, or will be totally justified in feeling bad. But what if this is not how it works? What if we don't have the power to cause anyone to feel anything? And what if no one has the power to determine our feelings for us either? If you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you've probably heard me say this several times already, but here it is again. We tend to think that our external circumstances cause our feelings, but they don't. Our thoughts about our circumstances are what create our feelings. Now, other people, including but not limited to your romantic partner or partners, are included in the category of external circumstances. They are entities external to you that are not within your direct control. And just to be clear, they definitely exist. Your partner or your partners exist, and they do some things and they don't do other things, and they say some things and they don't say other things. And all of that stuff is real. All of their behavior is real. But whatever they do or don't do, whatever they say or don't say is not what generates your feelings about them. Whatever you think about them and their behavior or their statements is what will make you feel the feelings that you feel for them. Now, your partner is undoubtedly the occasion for many of your feelings, right? You're going to have all kinds of interactions with your partner. and you will have all kinds of thoughts about your partner. And those thoughts will generate all kinds of feelings for you. And so, like I said earlier, your partner is real. They are there. They are part of this situation. There's no denying that, but they aren't causing you to have whatever feelings you have about them. So let me give you an example. If your partner cheats on you and the two of you were ostensibly in a committed monogamous relationship, a couple of things may be irrefutably true. The two of you might have had an explicit agreement about monogamy, and your partner may have done something that was outside of the bounds of your agreement about monogamy. And those may be the facts or the undeniable circumstances of your situation. But those circumstances in and of themselves do not determine how you feel about the situation. For example, if you believe that cheating is the worst possible thing that anyone can do to another person, and if you believe more specifically that your partner cheating on you was the worst possible thing that could happen to you, then you will probably feel terrible about your situation. You may be angry and hurt and pissed off and all the things. But on the other hand, if you believe that cheating isn't ideal, but that it isn't necessarily the end of the world, you might feel sad and hurt. You might feel confused. You might feel angry, but you probably won't feel devastated. Here's another way of looking at this. If you were at a point in your relationship when you weren't very happy with your partner anyway, you may feel relief when you learn of the cheating because you believe that it constitutes an opportunity to have a really honest conversation about where things are in your relationship. So the point is, your thoughts about your partner and your relationship and your partner's actions determine your feelings. It is not your partner's actions in and of themselves that make you feel however it is you feel about them cheating on you in that example. Okay, I know that it's one thing to hear someone say this, and it's another thing to believe that this is true in practice in your life on a day-to-day basis. So when we practice taking responsibility for our own feelings, we start to see things in a dramatically different way. We start to experience our lives in dramatically different ways in terms of our relationships, but in terms of all other things too. When we know experientially that we and only we create our own feelings and that we do so through our thinking, we start to trust that this is the way it works for other people too. It's hard to trust that without knowing that it's true for us first. But when we know that we are in charge of our feelings, we can start to trust that we're never able to control anyone else's feelings because only their thoughts create their feelings, and we can't control their thoughts. And when we know this, when we trust that this is true, we're able to relate to other people. We're able to show up in our relationships in totally different ways. We're able, for instance, to recognize that even if our partner is the occasion for our pain or our frustration or our anger or our dissatisfaction, it's not them that makes us feel however we feel. We know that they're there, they exist, they're doing whatever they're doing, but we know that it's our thinking about them that is what creates our feelings. And this gives us so much more power than believing that our feelings are their fault. And from there, when we see that this is true for us, we can also trust that we may be the occasion for our partner's feelings, but we're never the direct cause of their feelings. Whatever they think about us creates their feelings about us, and we are not in charge of what they think about us. Now, often when I talk to people about this, they tell me that they know they can't control how their partner feels, and they know they can't dictate what their partner thinks, but they really want to make sure to be as considerate of their partner as possible so that their actions don't cause their partner any pain or any anger or any other emotion that we usually consider uncomfortable. Now, I am all in favor of being considerate, but we have got to recognize the limits of consideration. Quite often, being considerate translates into doing what we think another person would want us to do, or doing what we think we would want done unto us if we were in that other person's position. And this may be well-intentioned, but the thing is, we don't really know what the other person is going to want from us in any given moment. Even if we know someone really well, even if we know another person's patterns really well, we can never be sure what they would most want in any future situation at any future moment in time, because we just can't. Sometimes we do things that we think are really considerate, and the other person doesn't like what we did anyway. So even when we think we know, even when we think we have a really good idea of what counts as consideration, it doesn't mean that the other person is going to receive it as such. And moreover, what's really going on for us when we talk about being considerate is that we're trying to manage other people's feelings without recognizing that that's what we're doing. We're trying to ensure that we don't do anything that would cause someone else to feel uncomfortable because of us. Now, I'm not suggesting that being recklessly inconsiderate is a great idea, but I do want to emphasize that even when we are as considerate as we know how to be, it doesn't necessarily work out the way we want it to. We can be considerate, whatever that may mean, and other people will still get upset. Other people may still feel uncomfortable, even when we try to act with consideration for what they might want. And to that point, I also want you to consider whether or not it's your job to ensure other people's comfort anyway. We tend to think that this is our job. We tend to operate as if it is indeed our job to ensure that other people don't have to experience discomfort. But is this helpful? I want to suggest that there are times when attempting to others. Oh my God, my words today. Let me start that sentence again. I want to suggest that there are times when attempting to ensure other people's comfort is not helpful at all for us or for them or for anyone else. Byron Katie tells us that there are three kinds of business in life. There's your business, there's their business, and there's God's business, or the universe's business, or the cosmic business, or however you want to think about that. Most of us spend an awful lot of time trying to do business that isn't really ours to do. And moreover, that we can't do or can't take care of, no matter how hard we might try. And so when we do this, when we bark up all of the wrong trees trying to do other people's business, we end up avoiding the business that only we can do, which is our own business. And this makes life so much more complicated and so much more unpleasant than it needs to be, primarily for us, because we're our first concern, but also for other people too. And that's also important. So to put this in terms of other people's feelings, what I mean by trying to do other people's business is by trying to manage other people's feelings instead of digesting and managing our own feelings. And to that point, I want you to consider that what we are really dealing with when we see other people uncomfortable or feeling discomfort is our own experience of discomfort. Many of us believe that discomfort is a bad thing or something that's better avoided or at least minimized. So if we see someone else in discomfort, that is, feeling any feeling that feels uncomfortable to experience, we tend to think that that's a problem. And if we do think that's a problem, we will probably feel very uncomfortable witnessing another person's discomfort. And for that matter, we often believe that it's an even bigger problem if other people are uncomfortable and we believe they're uncomfortable because of us or because of something that we have done. And then, of course, on top of that, some people will explicitly blame us for their experiences of discomfort. And we may feel incredibly uncomfortable as a result. And this totally makes sense if we believe, number one, that discomfort is a problem. And we believe, number two, that we have the power to cause other people to feel discomfort. If we believe those things, we are likely to feel really uncomfortable when we believe other people's discomfort is our fault. And when that happens, when we believe that discomfort is bad, when we see other people feeling uncomfortable, and when we believe that that's our fault, we usually try to do things to fix the other person's discomfort, so that we can feel better. Or perhaps we defend ourselves or we blame them for blaming us. And the whole thing gets messy really quickly. But what if, when we notice ourselves feeling uncomfortable because we believe someone else is uncomfortable, we could take responsibility for our own discomfort instead of trying to do something about the other person's feelings? And what if we could learn to tolerate our own discomfort instead of resisting it or avoiding it or treating it as a problem that we need to fix? What if we accepted discomfort as a normal, inevitable, and even valuable part of the human experience? What if we learned how to ride the waves of discomfort instead of expecting the waves to stop? When we can do this for ourselves, when we can start to engage with our own discomfort in a new way, we can trust that other people can do this for themselves too. When we know from our experience that we create our own feelings through our thinking, and that our uncomfortable feelings may be uncomfortable, but they are not inherently bad, we can relate to other people's discomfort in an entirely different way. We can care about other people's feelings and empathize with other people's feelings without needing to do something about them. We can take responsibility for our actions without attempting to take responsibility for what other people think and feel about our actions. We can trust that it's other people's responsibility to digest their own discomfort because we know for ourselves that taking responsibility for our own discomfort is the best way of dealing with it, that it's the only path to peace. When we know this for ourselves, we can trust that other people can learn this too, if and when they want to. And we can recognize that when we live lives that are intertwined with the lives of other humans, it is natural and normal and inevitable that we are going to be the occasion for other humans' pain and discomfort at times. And other people will be the occasion for our pain and discomfort at times. And when we can see this in more neutral terms and take more responsibility for our business within the whole human dance, instead of trying to do other people's business for them, we can engage in our relationships in an entirely different way. Now, this doesn't mean we won't have any more uncomfortable feelings about our relationship dynamics. This doesn't mean we'll never feel hurt or angry again. And it doesn't mean that we'll never be the occasion for anyone else's pain. And it certainly doesn't mean that no one will ever blame us for quote unquote making them feel bad or however they feel. Not at all. The human saga will continue, my friends. That much I'm pretty sure of. But when we learn how to deal with our own feelings, our own experience of life becomes simpler and less fraught. And we can set an example for others for what it means to be a human doing human things, but not getting so sucked into the melodrama of it all in the process. What this means in practice for a lot of people is that when they integrate these concepts into their life in practical terms, they're able to stop adjusting their own behavior for other people's sake. That doesn't mean that they never choose to adjust their own behavior for other people's sake at times. There are plenty of situations in life when it makes all kinds of sense to choose to do things because other people want us to do them, or to choose not to do things because other people don't want us to do them. But there's a difference between consciously making those kinds of choices and believing that we have to do certain things for the sake of making another person feel good, or at least ensuring that the other person isn't upset or upset with us. I've said it before and it bears repeating. Norms of reciprocity make the world go round. There are times when it's great to compromise for other people's sake. But there's a difference between making compromises that we're comfortable with for the sake of maintaining relationships that are important to us, and compromising what's most important to us because we believe we have to do so in order to ensure that other people feel okay or feel okay about us. All right. It's one thing to hear about this stuff on the podcast, and it's another thing to put these concepts to practice in your life. If you would like my help dealing with other people's feelings or your relationship to other people's feelings, or with anything else related to your infidelity situation, let's talk. I offer confidential, compassionate coaching via Zoom so we can work together no matter where you're located. You can schedule an introductory coaching session with me through my website, mariemurphyphd.com. I look forward to speaking with you. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for listening. If you have enjoyed what you've heard, I'd love it if you would head on over to iTunes to rate and review the show. Until next week, bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Your Secret is Safe with Me with Dr. Marie Murphy. Make sure to click subscribe to get updates on our latest episodes.